lot of people, my friends are stuck indoors. So I actually convinced a bunch of them to watch WrestleMania 36 for free on the network. These are people that grew up on guys like The Rock and Stone Cold and Hollywood Hulk Hogan. But even though I was enjoying parts of WrestleMania 36, none of them made it through the entire show. All they could do was talk about how awful it was. Fanboys who are stuck in their wrestling bubble need to understand how unappealing this current product is to a lot of mainstream audiences. They need to understand that a lot of people, they just don't give a shit about guys like King Corbin and Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. They just don't. So even though I enjoyed parts of WrestleMania 36, I can see how a lot of the mainstream audience is not going to get into it. Now, the first match at WrestleMania 36 was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors. Now, for somehow, the way this WrestleMania was produced, the way it was shot, it exposed just how tiny these female wrestlers are. I mean, they look like 4 tiny little girls in the ring. Like, the top rope was like next to their heads. And when Alexa Bliss was reaching over the top rope to try to tag in, she was like this, like, it was like she could barely make it over the top rope. I mean, seriously, fanboys. You want intergender matches? You want girls like that to fight Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman? What's the matter with you? And because there's no crowd, we can now hear what the referee is saying to the wrestlers. There was a part of this match where the match got out of control. Like everyone's in the ring, and Kairi Sane gets hit hard, and she's knocked out in the ring. The referee goes up to Kairi, and it's like, hey, you're not legal. Get out of the ring. And Kairi's like knocked out. Like, it's like, what the hell? That would be the same as if hypothetically The Undertaker tombstones me in the ring, and the referee's like, hey, PS Power, you're not legal. Get out of the ring. And I'm like laying there like, oh. Well, that's what he did to Kairi. Kairi's like half dead on the mat. He's like, hey, you're not legal. Get out of the ring. He's like, what the hell? She's like laying there like, stupid referee. But here's the thing, I actually kind of enjoyed this match. I thought it was a pretty fun match. However, my friends, who I think, in my opinion, represent the mainstream audience, they couldn't stand it. I got 2 text messages during this match. One was, this is awful, and the second was, dude, this just doesn't work. As for me, I found the match fun, pretty entertaining. However, I don't agree with the Kabuki Warriors dropping the belts. In my opinion, there's this interesting, colorful tag team that, in my opinion, has strong potential for mainstream appeal when the crowds come back. So they should have just kept the belts on them. Now, the next match was Baron Corbin versus Elias. And this is when most of my friends stopped watching. Think about it. My friends, these are people that grew up on The Rock and Stone Cold. They grew up watching Raw is War every week. They're former hardcore wrestling fans. And now they can't even last 2 WrestleMania matches anymore. When you have a non-title mid-card match in front of no crowd, people have no reason to watch unless the 2 wrestlers are super charismatic. And today's wrestlers, they just don't have that. They're not super charismatic. They don't have the ability to just draw you in by themselves, like The Rock and the Macho Man. The next match was Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. Now, right off the bat, it's going to be hard to suspend disbelief because we all know that Shayna would destroy Becky in like 2 seconds, alright? Not only is Shayna a former UFC fighter, but she just looks bigger, meaner, and stronger than Becky Lynch. So it really should be a squash match, like Chyna destroying Ivory at WrestleMania 17, because that's what it is. That's the difference. But instead, we see this big, giant truck rolling in. And then little Becky Lynch comes out of it. It's like, what the hell? Did she need a booster seat in that truck? So little Becky Lynch comes out of the giant truck, walks into the Performance Center, and pins Shayna Baszler, who seems to forget that she's supposed to kick out. So Becky Lynch pins Shayna Baszler, which in my opinion makes the rest of the roster look like shit. Because at Elimination Chamber, Shayna pretty much destroyed everyone by herself. She destroyed Liv Morgan like she was a piece of shit. Then she easily beat Asuka like she was nothing. But now she gets pinned by Becky Lynch? It makes the rest of the roster look like shit. So far in this show, I disagree with both title match results. The Kabuki Warriors should have retained, and Shayna should have destroyed Becky like Chyna beat Ivory. Then we had Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. they have a regular match, Kevin Owens wins. Then they have a no DQ match, and Kevin Owens wins again. So in my opinion, they should have just cut out the regular match and just had the no DQ match, because that's where all the interesting stuff happened anyways. I liked Kevin Owens jumping off the logo. I liked that they used the ring bell against each other, like Roddy Piper considered using at WrestleMania 8. But what I didn't like was Seth Rollins talking nonstop during the match. Remember, you asked for this. Remember, you asked for this. It's like, oh, what the hell, man? When did I ask you to talk? Then we had Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. Now, I have no idea why all these fanboys for so long wanted Braun Strowman to become world champion. I mean, he's no Hogan. He's no Rock. He's like a generic big guy. You know, teaming with Nicholas, playing the guitar. I'm Mr. Monster in the Bank. You know, like, why the hell would you want a guy like that to become world champion? Okay, so now he beat Goldberg. Now he's the world champion. Now what? Now is he going to be charismatic like Hulk Hogan? Is he going to be electrifying on the mic like The Rock? No, of course not. So why'd you want it? Now the next match, kind of, was The Undertaker versus AJ Styles. Now, given the circumstances, I was willing to suspend disbelief and buy into this match as much as I can, right? I'm not watching this as a fight. I'm watching it as a movie. But the thing is, even watching it as a movie, it didn't make sense. Like, there was a part where The Undertaker was surrounded by people with their faces covered. But the thing is, they all disappear after getting punched one time. It's like, you punch them once and they disappear. It's like, where the hell did they go? They were like the Goombas in Super Mario. It's like you punch them once and they disappear. Like, boop, disappear, boop, disappear, boop, disappear, boop, disappear. It's like, where the hell did they go? And then there was that part, that corny part, where The Undertaker stands behind AJ with the bright lights like shining behind him, and he gained his power back. It's like, wait a minute, how did he regain his power? And how come his hair is back in perfect condition after getting messed up? If he can regain his power like that, why didn't he do it against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30? I mean, if I'm going to see this as a movie, I kind of want an explanation, you know? Like if someone showed up with the urn, like the power of the urn, and The Undertaker rises. Now I have an explanation. Like, visually, this segment was fantastic. It looked great, but the script made no sense. Like, people were like popping in and out with no explanation, and there was like no reasoning for anything. So even when you watch it as a movie, it's kind of hard to watch because it doesn't make much sense. So by the second half of WrestleMania 36, I was the only one left watching. All of my other friends have stopped watching by this point. I was the only one to survive into the second half of WrestleMania 36. So the first match of the second half was Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. And if any mainstream fans were still watching at this point, they were probably thinking, who the hell is Rhea Ripley? But as far as the match goes, I actually kind of enjoyed this match because it fooled me. It fooled me because Charlotte Flair was dominating most of the match. I thought Rhea Ripley was going to win because that's how it works, right? The person who gets their ass kicked wins the match, right? So I was actually surprised that Charlotte pulled off the win and became the new NXT World title. It made the match kind of enjoyable for me. But during the match, the referee did it again. I think it's the same one. He did it again. There was a part of the match where Charlotte Flair spears Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley is like knocked out in the ring. She's like knocked out. And the referee goes up to her and says, "Hey, you okay, Rip?" And Rip's like, "Oh," it's like, what the hell, man? Stupid referee. Now the next match was Bobby Lashley versus that Alistair guy. Now, why the hell are they wasting Bobby Lashley on this stupid Lana storyline? He should be in the main event with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Why are they wasting him on this mid-card crap? As for the Alistair guy, he kind of reminds me of Randy Orton, in that he's this super cool looking guy with a lot of tattoos, and he has this super cool entrance. But then for some reason his matches are boring. You know? And he has this weird looking physique. There's like this weird looking physique. Like he has this, with this rectangular upper body, this wide rectangular upper body, and then it goes down into his two skinny legs. Like I notice it every time. Next was the stupid Dolph Ziggler-Otis match, which seems to play off the fantasies of fanboys. I mean, Mandy Rose with a big fat neckbeard. I mean, does the WWE know its audience a little too well? And you know what was going to happen with this match before it even started. I knew before this match even started that Mandy Rose was going to come down at some point and they were going to kiss. It was so obvious. This is like Sonny and Phineas Godwin, except way more cringy. This is WCW level stupid shit. I am so glad that my friends stopped watching before this match because they would have thought it was horrible, right? Because they're the mainstream audience. They're not fanboys with these fantasies. Next was the Edge-Randy Orton match. Now, the match starts with Randy Orton giving Edge the RKO, and that stupid referee is like, Randy, what are you doing, man? Trying to win the match, you dumbass? Like, who the hell is this referee? Who the hell is this referee at the show making these stupid comments? But anyway, this was almost my favorite match of the card, except for three things. Number one, since they're at the Performance Center, why didn't one of the wrestlers take one of the barbells and just smash the other wrestler? I mean, the match is over. I mean, The Undertaker tried to murder AJ Styles in that other storyline, so why not? Number two, it went on for too long. It was like that video game, WCW Backstage Assault, where they're just fighting endlessly backstage. And just like the video game, it gets boring after a while. And number three, that stupid referee interfered in the match. When Randy Orton had the steel chair, the referee's like, don't do it, man! But then when Edge had the steel chair, the referee stays quiet and Edge wins the match. Who the hell is a stupid referee? But anyway, again, this was almost my favorite match of the card. It just went on too long. It was like an overly long match of WCW Backstage Assault. Next, we had that stupid John Cena Bray Wyatt thing. No, I know there's an audience for this. I was at a Raw, and when that Firefly Funhouse thing came on, I saw all these big middle-aged fanboys jumping to their feet, and they're looking at the screen like they can't wait, you know? So I know there's an audience for this. But in my opinion, for the rest of us, it just comes across as hokey, cringy, corny BS. I mean, can you imagine my friends watching this? Can you imagine the everyday mainstream guy, the guys down the street playing basketball? Can you imagine showing this to them? What would they think? They'd be like, what the hell am I looking at? Is this supposed to be a wrestling match? Just like Otis and Mandy Rose, this seems to be just playing off the fantasies of fanboys. The big fat neckbeard destroys Golden Boy John Cena. Finally, we get to the main event, where Rudy Pooju beats Brock Lesnar to become the World Heavyweight Champion. Now, this was a typical Brock Lesnar match with like a ton of suplexes. And it kind of played out pretty much like the Goldberg match, where they do their finishing move on the other guy over and over again, but the other guy keeps kicking out. So, let me get this straight. Brock Lesnar destroyed John Cena, Kofi Kingston, and Dean Ambrose. Brock Lesnar beat Braun Strowman with one F5. Brock Lesnar was the first one to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. But now we have Rudy Pooju beating Brock Lesnar in 4 minutes. Are you telling me that Rudy Pooju was actually better than everyone else this whole time? I mean, last year we had Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins as the faces of the company. This year we have Braun Strowman and Rudy Pooju. What this tells me is that the WWE does not want mainstream stars anymore. All they want is the flavor of the moment. Kofi Kingston was last WrestleMania's flavor of the moment, and Rudy Pooju is this flavor of the moment. If you really think that Rudy Pooju is going to draw in the mainstream audience and drive up house show attendance, then in my opinion, you're nuts. This WrestleMania overall was good for me. It was enjoyable to me. But for the mainstream audience, including my friends, based on this product, they barely have any reason to become fans again.